For this week, we interview a lovely socialist Democrat who's warming up to the ideals of liberty. We're going to give you the lowdown of the smackdown that occurred at the Louisiana State Convention. This and a delegate update that the mainstream media will surely forget to tell you. That and more. Get ready to evolve. Welcome to Evolve, your weekly dose of liberty news created for the people and by the people. Thanks for joining. I'm your host, Forrest Jellick. It was another big week for the Ron Paul liberty movement as the mainstream media continued its bout of selective amnesia. But frankly, the ratings are about as desirable as an actual zombie apocalypse, so we're not going to worry about them. Instead, we're going to boycott their blackout and give you the lowdown. To start on a fun note, there's a group looking to raise funds and open a Ron Paul pub in New York City. I kind of picture this to be like a Liberty version of Cheers. You can sign me up for that happy hour anytime, as long as I'm surrounded by my Liberty family. So go on over to their website, ronpaulpub.com, and consider supporting this worthy happy hour cause. And while we're on the topic of good times, as we covered on a previous episode of Evolve, the Ron Paul Festival is now reaching a fever pitch. Some early estimates suggest that 100,000 Ron Paul people could attend. This would make the 2008 Rally for the Republic look like a picnic. Rumor has it on the street also that the GOP is playing dirty tricks to keep this from happening. But in the end, I'm going to bet my bottom fiat dollar that liberty is going to prevail. So you can bet I'll be there, and I hope to see you and raise a toast to all of you then. And speaking of toasts, we came across an article from Washington State covering the force that is becoming the modern Republican Party. Matt Dubbin, one of the delegates at the meeting, had a quote that I wish to share with you all. And I quote, "We are the new activist branch of the Republican Party, and soon, very soon, all GOP candidates will be forced to seek our support if they want any chance of success." End quote. Now I'm going to direct this part to the GOP establishment. Do you remember ridiculing Ron Paul and the Liberty Movement back in 2008? Do you remember ignoring that movement in the debates and in the news, or saying that the movement was nothing but a few thousand fervent internet-based followers?
And why did Fox News not treat Ron Paul better when he's been talking about this stuff for the past 8 years?
Look,
10 years.
We can't promote mounds and almond joy. You're talking about Peter Paul?
All right.
Peter, Paul, and Mary? It was Ron? Okay, Ron.
Well, since then, we've taken Colorado, Iowa, Maine, Minnesota, and Nevada, with a number of the other states in which no candidate has a clear majority. The Liberty Movement has assumed leadership positions in many states and elected Liberty candidates to their primaries or actual offices. Since then, we've organized, we've grown, and we've become very active. And the best part is, we have the independents and youth on our side, and that's something you know the GOP long ago lost, is in dire need of. You know that there's a large generation and youth enthusiasm gap with the GOP. So this is for you. We invite you to learn what the Liberty Movement is all about and discover the conservative constitutional roots that you forgot. And this invitation remains open, so come along and come learn about it. And with that, it's time to get to our Delegate Playbook. On this week's edition of Delegate Playbook, you all thought Ron Paul was out of the race, now didn't you?
Wrong.
Y'all remember Louisiana, right? The state that Rick Santorum won in the primary a couple of months back? The one where Ron came in last with only a few percent? Well, this week it was reported that Louisiana elected a slate of 27 Ron Paul supporters to fill 12 of the 18 district delegate slots and 15 of 20 at-large delegate slots. Yes, I just said it, the mainstream won't. Ron Paul won Louisiana. And that's the kind of spice we all like in our Creole. But the win didn't come easy. Ron Paul supporters were allegedly assaulted and injured at the event, and this is true. In addition to Louisiana, it was reported that the Washington State GOP pulled out all of the stops to keep Ron Paul from collecting delegates. Let's see what Liberty had to say to the establishment in Washington.
Hi, my name is Graham Naylor, and I'm a delegate for the 34th District. I would just like to say that I'm appalled by the unscrupulous actions taken by leadership within King County. For those of you who are unaware, mobile ballot sheets and scanner machines were withheld in the 36th District by Lisa Shannon. In the 37th, the caucus was forced to conduct the meeting outside after the King County chairwoman, Lori Satella, prevented the business of the Assembly from being completed inside the facility. If the Republican Party wants to win elections, we need to welcome newcomers with open arms rather than attempting to exclude people with divisive tactics.
So So as the Republican Party tricks kept coming, Ron Paul kept racking up the delegates. According to the real 2012 delegatecount.com, Ron Paul currently stands at 229 delegates, and Mitt Romney at 755. Now, as a reminder, it takes 1,144 to secure that nomination. If that doesn't happen in the first round, the convention is brokered. Then who knows what's going to happen? Now, we can't say that Ron Paul is going to win, but you quite certainly can't say that he's out. And all I know is I plan on being at the Ron Paul Fest celebrating with 100,000 or so of my closest friends, and I hope to see you there. And when's the last time the media gave you this information? Don't hold your breath. So on this week's edition of Firestarter, I wanted to share a little of my story, as some of you asked in the comment section below, of how I came to the Liberty Movement. Believe it or not, it all started with a hand-painted sign on a freeway overpass in 2008. I was driving to work. There was a hand-painted sign that said Ron Paul 2008 for president with a Levolution logo. I didn't know who Ron Paul was, so when I got into the office, I Googled him. I watched a couple YouTube videos and looked him up on Wikipedia. And so I'd written some books and I ordered them. And from that day forward, my life was forever changed. I hadn't realized the concept of liberty of the Constitution or any of the giants that came before him, Thomas Jefferson, Frederick Bastiat, all these other giants. And I got their books and I started reading, and my life was forever changed and for the better. And there's something I took away from that, and that was that you never know when something is going to change you. It could be something very small, like a hand-painted sign on the side of the road. And I've always carried that forth when I have conversations with people about the Liberty Movement. Well, fortunately for this week, I interviewed a lovely lady that I've befriended recently, and we've had a lot of discussions about Ron Paul. Now, she's a socialist, left-leaning Democrat, and she's really warming up to the ideas of the Liberty Movement, and that's just based through a friendship and maybe one of those small things. And so what I'd like to do is go ahead and go to the clip and share that interview with you. Well, thank you for coming and joining me on Evolve today, Allie. I really appreciate your time.
Got it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so a few weeks ago we met, and we've had just these great discussions about philosophy and politics and so forth. And so would you describe your political leanings to me?
I would say very liberal with socialistic tendencies.
And how did I describe myself when we met?
As a libertarian.
Okay, and so had you met many libertarians prior to me, or no?
I had not personally ever met a libertarian before I met you.
So we started talking about a lot of issues and a lot of things. Was there anything that kind of surprised you or that you found of interest that we were talking about?
Well, you use the word liberty and freedom a lot when we talked, and I have to say that I really didn't have really a baseline to compare. I have to say I didn't really quite know what you're talking about when you said.
Well, and I think you might have a pretty good idea now, right? Because you were on vacation in Florida last week, and I got a cell phone picture of you on the beach reading a book. And what was that book?
It was The Revolution by Ron Paul.
Great. So you actually read the whole book and went through it. Did you find it interesting? Did it help you see certain things that you didn't understand before?
It did, and I have to say that there were parts of that book that, one thing as a liberal or Democrat, I really try and keep an open mind to other views, and we'll look at a lot of the right wing, their views, neoconservatives, evangelists, the whole Christian movement. But in regards to the revolution, there really were a couple beliefs that really stuck
with you, something that kind of resonated. And what were those? What resonated with you?
The first one was the views on foreign policy. There was a lot that I really did not know in regards to how America looks at foreign policy. The fact that at the time that the book was written that we were in occupied 130 different countries worldwide. It was really astounding to me, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people actually don't realize that, and they start seeing it and say, holy smokes, we are in a different place than I really thought. Now, after reading that book, would you see yourself wanting to understand a little bit more about the Liberty Movement and those perspectives after reading Ron Paul's work?
I would. I think there were certain topics that were covered in the book that I would definitely want to learn more about his view in depth. Healthcare, abortion, to me were not. Again, this was an overview. It was not covered to my satisfaction, but in regards to the views on the Constitution as well as foreign policy, which were areas that really resonated with me, and I really feel like those are that's part of the ideology I really could find myself, really kind of wrapping my brain around and agreeing with.
Now, and before we close out, I just wanted to ask you, when we started talking about these issues, which can be, a lot of people get very emotionally involved when they talk about politics. How did I approach you in talking to you about these issues? Do you remember?
Well, I think that, when anybody talks about politics, religion, you don't want somebody that's, shoving ideas down your throat. And I think what I really respected about our conversation was that you presented it in a way to me that was, hey, this are some different views, and I'm the type of person where I'm not really satisfied with the two-party system, so I am really open to other views, and I think that reading The Revolution was a really nice baseline to provide me an overview for your belief without doing it in a way that felt like it was being thrown in my face.
Yeah, and of course not, because I think friendships and dialogue always come first. And so it was lovely having you on the show, and I really look forward to seeing and having a lot more conversations as we go forward.
Thanks so much, Forrest. I appreciate it.
Thank you. So I want to thank Alex for allowing me to interview her for the show, and I certainly look forward to more future discussions centered around liberty. Now, as a follow-up to our poll last week that showed that Ron Paul had a 93% approval rating, while Congress only had a 14% approval rating, a new poll was released this week that found only 19% see Obama or Romney as the best possible candidate. Now, folks, we've got one other horse in the race, that's Ron Paul. Now, last week we had a segment asking the current Romney delegates to take a deep look at the two men and do a little soul-searching to truly ask what the country needs. Now, this week, I want to give the same challenge to reach out to the independents and to the Democrats and the left that might be frustrated with Obama. If you don't listen to what the mainstream media has tried to paint Ron Paul as being, I think you're going to be really pleased. Take some time to look at his issues, his voting record, his books, his YouTube clips. Watch Ron Paul like me. I was a guy that saw a hand-painted sign and found something very different than what was perpetuated. That could be you, and I think you'll really be pleased. So I challenge you to just take a few minutes and investigate Ron Paul for yourself and find out what the truth is. And with that, thanks again for joining us on Evolve. So do you think, I'm going to ask you to put in the comments below, do you really think the Republicans and Democrats offer this country much difference anymore? Let me know your thoughts below. And remember to share this on Facebook and Twitter, and to also donate. So this is Forrest Jellick signing off. And until next time, don't live free or die, my friends. Just live free.